Before I get started, I just want to say, hello, Bruno here, and oh, I took another year-long break, that might keep happening. Well, I'm back again, probably to stay, but it's okay, because this time we've upped the quality. Either way, we have lots to talk about now that Nodcry has finally released in version Luna 1. And, oh, where do I start? As I'm sure many of us have all noticed, news channels on YouTube that provide reliable and objective information come few and far between, with a lot of clickbaiting and over-reliance on questionable and sometimes completely unfounded claims to continue pumping out content. That's not how things are going to work around here. Despite some of my earlier portfolio content and the way I started this video, I'm in fact not here to talk about myself. Takes one to know one, right? I heavily digress. I'm here to discuss our favorite moon maiden, Columbina, and what I'm pretty sure her kit will end up looking like. Right now it's anyone's guess really, but I think there's more to it than that. There's, in fact, quite a bit of information we can already piece together pretty reliably by applying a little old logic here and there, and a lot of story information. I'll try to stay away from spoilers, but you've been warned now. Before any of that, I have to talk about Lunar reactions. I think the way they've been advertised and presented makes their feature a little misleading, and I want to try and lay down some facts. As corroborated by several reliable sources, which, by the way, will now be summarized in the description of the video, Lunar reactions are expected to only exist for Hydro-related reactions. Hydro as an element is heavily related to the moon, but I'll have to go into that part another time. This begs the question, what role will Colombina have in all of this? After all, she has been said to be the main push of version Luna, which in leaker lingo essentially means she's the character Hoyoverse is banking on to make the most money, and to have the most power. The Nouvelette or Mavwika of Nodcry, if you will. With Lunar Reaction's obvious connection to the moon, and her being the Moon Maiden herself, she must have the ability to activate ever Lunar Reaction were in the party, right? Or something like that. Well, it might not really be that simple. In fact, she might not even have the ability to activate Lunar Reactions at all, at least just by being in the party. It is firmly and collectively agreed that Colombina is a 5-star Hydro Catalyst. This is further confirmed by her having Hydro heals, being depicted in Hydro environments, as well as occasionally having control over Hydro herself, and through avatar data in the game files. The latter is one of the most reliable ways to find this type of information, as weapon types are listed on the avatar IDs of every single playable character model. This is presumed to have some sort of function for animators or other systems used by developers, but it makes things easier for us. I digress. There is something inherent about these IDs that makes it difficult for Hoyoverse to change them on the fly once implemented into the game officially, as Columbina has in version Luna 1. There have even been leaks in the past about her being something along the lines of the best in slot support for every Nodcry character, being Hydro and all. However, significantly more reliable sources have come out to say that Columbina is actually a Hydro DPS, rather than a support. This could be a Mavwika situation, in which she is both a really strong DPS in her own right, and a sub-DPS support character in her free time, but there's a lot of reading between the lines I've done that tells me otherwise. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we? Or, in this case, the Krumkake in the room, since we're talking about Aino. Oh dear. From launching with one of the worst kits in the game, to being saved by the very moon sign mechanic that makes her subsidiary Snezhnayan Nation unique, Aino has got to be one of the strangest choices Hoyoverse has made for Genshin Impact to date. They really made her purpose abundantly clear. You can't cry to us about not having access to Ascendant Gleam once you pulled our Nodcry 5 stars. Unlike every other character, she also merely has a Nodcry vision rather than a Moonwheel, despite them looking almost identical. You could boil this down to her being a 4-star, but I think there's something else to this that we can apply to Colombina. Like I said before, Lunar reactions have been reliably claimed to only pertain to Hydro-related reactions. It would be nonsense for a Hydro character to have access to all of them just by existing. That's just too much of a missed opportunity for money that I think it's completely unlikely. I mean, if you just look at her model, she very obviously doesn't have a vision, let alone a Moonwheel. There could be some kind of Moon Maiden's blessing she could have, similar to Sturk's 7 Shifting Serpent, to excuse this, but there seems to be something else. If she's a DPS, what would her mechanic be if she could activate every single Lunar reaction? It's not like the devs would just pick one at random, and incorporating functionality for all of them into her kit just doesn't seem plausible to me. On their own, every Lunar reaction has their own relatively complicated intricacies, and when you add on Lunar Freeze, it ended up being a very crowded and confusing experience, especially for old returning fans, which she's mainly being targeted towards. That's another thing I'd like to bring up. While I won't be intricately discussing Lunar Freeze here, the fact that it won't have release by the time Columbina does is another indicator that it just wouldn't work. Unless they pull another Honkai Impact 3rd Astral Shift, future mechanics of that caliber seems out of Hoyoverse's lane at the moment. If they do decide to make her kit rely on all of the Lunar reactions, then how will they simply add another large chunk of her kit several patches later? That just doesn't seem possible. My point stands, she's more than likely to have a baseline Hydro DPS kit that happens to synergize with other Nodcry 5 stars. It's simple, an in-character answer for Hoyoverse. It matches with the current theme of Nodcry releasing multiple 5 stars for the same team, and would incentivize people to pull for the Nodcry characters they like, while also universally pulling Colombina as their main interest. Of course, this is simply an analysis. The logic holds ground, but Hoyoverse is evidently very unpredictable. So, where does that leave her? Well, I believe she will simply have a DPS kit like Novelette, in terms of having a high frequency of Hydro application, while also synergizing with other Nodcry and 5 stars to keep things relevant and fun for current and old players. It's an elegant solution that fits what we know with what can be inferred. Of course, everyone is free to make their own assumptions, but this is my Runo-verified analysis of the current situation. As always, future content in a game like Genshin Impact is always subject to change. Take everything you see with a grain of salt, and I'll be here to clean up the rest. My Yahoda video is in the works, so if you like content like this, feel free to stick around and leave a like to help boost my reach. Going forward, I typically like to let my content speak for itself, and I'm always on the watch for anything interesting to report on. As always, sources to my information have been indexed in the description below, as well as a transcript for those who like to read along. What do you think Columbina's kit will be like? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for stopping by!